Hello, everybody. Welcome to Atangana the show, and that was my famous play-by-play calling phrase expression. Atangana. Welcome to an edition of Atangana the show right here in Sportskeeda live, and we got so much news to talk about from the world of the WWE, exciting things, Raw, SmackDown, the United Kingdom. Plus, the last member just came out from Shane O'Mac announcing John Cena as part of the team of SmackDown for Survivor Series. My name is Hugo Savinovich. Next to me, my Cajun girl, my wife, Diana Savinovich. Welcome to all of you beautiful people. This is the English version of Atangana the show from Lucha Libre Online, as we are part of this alliance with Sportskeeda. And every Wednesday at the same time, we will be live here in Sportskeeda, bringing you the latest news of WWE plus other companies around the world. Diana, let's hit it.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the world. Lucha Libre wrestling fans from all over the world connect here on Skeeda Wrestling. This is awesome. Sportskeeda Wrestling. This is awesome to be here. We're here in New York, so we're transmitting from the capital of the world, and is welcome to everybody to this show.
So Lucha Libre Online, it's the biggest Spanish Lucha Libre Facebook page, and we have gigantic alliances, and we are so proud to have this alliance with Sportskeeda. And for the Sportskeeda world, every Wednesday, this same time, we will have this version of the Atangana, the show, with the latest news from WWE and other companies. Raw and SmackDown will be a main subject, but also just breaking Shane McMahon announcing John Cena for the SmackDown brand's team against Kurt Angle's Raw team. And everybody's been talking about it from the moment that great bout for Wrestle Kingdom 12 was announced between Jericho and the man of the perfect match, Kenny Omega. Things started to happen, and we saw how Vince McMahon and the WWE creative team immediately fought back with the changes of the title holder in WWE, and we saw that as Jinder Mahal was dethroned by AJ Styles in the United Kingdom. So we will be talking about that, and plus your comments. Here we go.
Please write me your comments. I'll be happy to read them. Let's start out with some comments. Over here we have Anshu Biswa says, "We love John Cena. He is the best." Zembikosi Biela. Wow, these are some names. It says, "Where is CM Punk, guys?"
Wow, it's so good to hear in our first official broadcast here in Sportskeeda, people mention CM Punk. In the Spanish world, it is one of the names that is mentioned most of the times. CM Punk is controversial, yet he is one of the talents that are truly needed in WWE. So we're happy to hear his name mentioned.
Pramod Rai says, "I love wrestling and I love John Cena."
All right.
Kenny B. Rahim is a CM Punk lover. Yeah.
Okay, CM Punk in the house. Welcome to all of our viewers that are joining in. This is Diana Savinovich and Hugo Savinovich. I was a Spanish announcer and producer with WWE for over 70 years, 20 years as a wrestler. Just got back from Tijuana. The Crash Lucha Libre was celebrating its 6th anniversary. Matches on the card were Rey Mysterio. We had Carlito Caribbean Cool from Lucha Underground. We had Cage and many others. It was an outstanding wrestling card. The main event was hair against hair that featured Bestia 666 against Jack Evans. Jack Evans lost the hair. It was an impressive wrestling card by the Crash Lucha Libre Promotions, and I was part of that event. We did the first program, the pilot TV program for the Crash Lucha Libre. So let's go back to talk about SmackDown, Raw, and the Jericho Omega match for Wrestle Kingdom 12, and the dethroning of Jinder Mahal are part of the conversations today, plus the fact that John Cena was added to the SmackDown Survivor Series team. Let's do it, Diana.
Over here in Narendra, Jangra says, "Is John Cena to be the 5th member of the SmackDown line?"
Yes, that's officially as the Twitter account of Shane McMahon blasted the news. And like I said, I think that their WWE is really fighting back as the match announced between Jericho and Kenny Omega at one point was the trending conversation with the wrestling community as Jinder Mahal fell and was dethroned by AJ Styles. That was the news yesterday, and just a while ago, Shane McMahon made the announcement of John Cena being part of the SmackDown team, which means that WWE is fighting back to regain the attention of the whole World Wrestling community.
Bhuvan Bharat says Roman Empire. Muhammad Javed Khan said Roman is back.
Yeah, he's back. That was another announcement made for the next Raw show that the Shield will be reunited. Roman Reigns will be back, and perhaps we will see the attack or the payback of Raw against the SmackDown brand, as people have been complaining that they haven't had that storyline of the revenge of the attack of the SmackDown brand on the Raw. So many people were saying it's perhaps because Roman Reigns was out with that virus, and they were waiting for him to come back. We will soon find out as Monday Raw will approach.
Kunga Choying wants to know, will Carmella be cashing in at the series?
Well, they got to do something, because I believe that the steps were taken towards that yesterday in SmackDown. I got on my notes as we saw the Battle of the Sexes. Ellsworth was defeated by Becky Lynch. But not only that, we saw how Carmella came in and she attacked Ellsworth. So I think that it brings to the surface the fact that the cashing in of the Money in the Bank for Carmella is due. I think that was what creative of WWE took on effect yesterday when they made her attack Ellsworth, and it's due. I think that the sooner you get that Money in the Bank away from Carmella, it's actually going to help her, as you know that it was a disaster when they gave it to her and to Baron Corbin. So a lot of things are happening. The shows were emanating from the United Kingdom, which it was weird, as in this part of the world, the news were already out, and that takes the fun out of watching live shows.
Because you know already who's going to win, or who already won.
The shows from the Raw show, they were pretty solid shows. Having Samoa Joe come back, it was really good, as Samoa destroyed Titus. And then we had that challenge with Finn Balor accepted. A good, solid match. There was no winner. But we saw the announcement of Samoa Joe and Finn Balor uniting the team, as Kurt Angle announced that they will be part of the Raw Survivor Series team. So that was done good. We saw the Strowman against the Miz match. What really happened there was the story of Kane. The Battle of the Monsters is inching in, and I think that Kane is looking more solid than ever. Let's go with more comments, Diana.
Over here, Yashid H.J. Jain says, which date shall Shield break up and how?
The question again?
What date Shield break up and how?
Yeah, well, right now, I don't think that is the right time to do the breakup, as because of the situation of Roman Reigns being out with that virus. Actually, what it did was it delayed all the things that they needed to do, and I think that you have to take advantage of the acceptance. When you do a storyline of the Shield reuniting out of nowhere, the main star of WWE, being Roman Reigns, gets put out of commission because of a virus, then you have to go strong. Triple H was one of the honorary members in some of the shows. Also Kurt Angle, but I think they have to get down to the solid basis and see how the fans react. I think that this will actually help Roman Reigns get more acceptance, and it is critical for the WWE company, for the brand, WWE brand, to finally have Roman Reigns accepted. I don't think it's never going to be 100%. But remember, that same thing happened with John Cena, and it created, the top face of the face of the WWE for many years. So a lot of things are about to happen.
Nick Melinchek says, Will the Usos ever turn face soon again?
I think that one of the Usos got injured on the show yesterday of SmackDown. I don't know if that will affect the Survivor Series match, but I think because of their style and who they are, sons of a legendary Samoan wrestling family, and because of their caliber of wrestling, the quality of the wrestling and the charisma that they have, I think being baby faces or heel, I don't think that's the main situation with them because they're just good. And whatever storyline, if it's done correctly, you have the talent in the Usos to do really a lot of amazing things. And no doubt about it, Usos are in the heart of the WWE wrestling fans.
Ralph Wentz wants to know, is Kane retaliating because Roman beat Taker?
The original part was that of the storyline, but I think that it's just him claiming to be the only monster in the WWE, and I believe that he is also an important key to the future, to the success of Braun Strowman, as he is intended to be established as a new powerhouse of the WWE. I think Kane has come in to make sure that Braun Strowman gets established as the strong man in WWE.
Over here, Nick Navarro says, how do you feel about Lucha Underground?
I did the first season in Spanish. I did a play-by-play with Vampiro. Something happened after that first season. I think that in the world of sports entertainment, especially wrestling, you must adjust to what the fans want to see. And I believe that Lucha Underground has a unique quality product. Awesome. You got the Hollywood, you got the Temple, and you got the Luchadores, you got the Lucha Libre. The first season was good. I did the Spanish, and then the second season, they for some reason, I was not called to do the second season, and the second season was not as solid as the first one, but I believe that the mistake was that they did not evolve on the characters, and they had to look for ways and means of getting the product out there. Being on the Raid Network, a very new TV network, they didn't have the following, and then by the time they went on Netflix with the season, it did good for the characters, but not for the product. And right now, as we speak, it's not sure, it's not certain that the fourth season will happen. And it's a shame,
yes,
because I do believe that Lucha Underground it's that new breed. It's like a hybrid of Lucha, of Strong Style, of Hollywood, of the Temple. So you have like a movie with villains and faces and good solid characters. If you hear that, that's our girl. She's a blue and gold Macau next to us.
A bird.
So I do believe that Lucha Underground is a good product. Okay, let's go with more comments.
Nissan Karki says, will they job Jinder again? They better not.
Yeah, well, the expression of jobbing, of jobbers, I think it's disrespectful. I don't know who started this trend that it's okay to call professional wrestlers jobbers, and I think that it's in a world of politically correctness, this is one thing that's been violated. I think you have to respect the talent. To make him lose a match, that's an expression, but to actually put a brand on a talent as calling him a jobber, I am very upset when I hear that in Spanish or English, because I believe that it makes no justice. If a promoter started it, then the promoter is wrong. But just because somebody does something wrong, or it's part of the accepted lingo, I don't think it's a correct phrase to use. But I do not think that Jinder Mahal future is to become a losing wrestler in matches. I think he's got the talent, and I believe that this whole situation of the losing the title had to do with a couple of factors. Number one, as it's a global product, they were also looking to push the product from here till December. Remember the tour in India, which it's Sportskeeda. It's an alliance with WWE for the tour in India, and it's like two giants together for a tremendous show. It's Sportskeeda, #1 wrestling page in Facebook after WWE. So by WWE having Sportskeeda in partnership for the tour, they are assuring of people getting the news about anything that happens on that too. I believe that a couple of factors were important in Jinder losing the WWE Championship. One of them was the fact that the creative part of WWE has been doing an awful job, and they needed to strengthen the product going to Survivor Series. And also the little known fact that Sportskeeda also covered and was in one of the articles of Sportskeeda yesterday that there is an injury with Jinder Mahal that could be aggravated. And what you don't want to do is to put a wrestler in the ring with somebody like Brock Lesnar, who we all know he's beautiful.
The Beast.
We love him, but he's Suplex City. He is the Beast. He is rough, and people accept that when you work or you wrestle with Brock Lesnar. It doesn't matter if you're Kane, if you're Samoa Joe, if you're Strowman, or if you're Jinder Mahal. Brock Lesnar only knows one speed, and that is Suplex City speed. And I believe that Vince McMahon is trying to protect Jinder Mahal. The title had to change hands. The factors were first needed to get the product stronger, even though they needed it to be strong for the India tour. They realized there's still time from here to the December India tour, and they needed to have Jinder Mahal get stronger, recover from his injury. And I don't telegraph storylines, but if you understand what I'm saying, the whole situation, it's to make sure that when he debuts in India for the WWE tour, India tour, that he will be able to compete. Yes. And those were the decisions that were made. I don't think this will change the way that they are pushing Jinder. I believe that he's one of the true villains of wrestling. As a long time, we haven't had anybody to solidly be called the heel or the villain in WWE. Has improved greatly. He's one of my top choices, and I do believe that he will help immensely to open up the doors of India. There's so many fans. I don't know if you bring Sushi here 1 second here, just to show it to our fans as they are listening to that screaming. This is our girl. She's 21. She's 21 years old. This is Sushi. In Spanish, when I do my wrestling calls, play by play, and the action is hot, I said, "Fuego, fuego, Sushi, llama a los bomberos," which means the action is hot. Sushi called the fireman, and that is Sushi. That's she's
the one who screamed, and she just wanted attention.
Yeah,
look to the camera.
She wanted to see all the fans of Sportskeeda and Lucha Libre Online,
yeah,
and
that's it.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about Jericho and the match for Wrestle Kingdom 12 against Omega. That just shook the foundations of the wrestling industry, and I believe changes with the Jinder Mahal title, and also the announcement by Shane just hours ago of John Cena being part of the SmackDown Survivor Series team has to do with recovering the attention of the World Wrestling community. Let's go with some comments.
Justin Lewis Fleming said, "You think that Sasha Banks will turn heel on Charlotte Flair next year in revenge for defeating her for the Raw Women's title in Hell in a Cell match and putting her in an injury at Hell in the Cell 2016?
I believe that she hasn't been used correctly. Sasha Banks should be the one competing against Asuka. I believe that heel or babyface, she already has the recognition of the fans. I think that WWE Creative messed up badly with the way of pushing Sasha Banks. I know she's controversial, but in a world of so much controversy sells. And I believe that if you have an issue with her attitude, I think heel is the way to go. But you reach a point in WWE's atmosphere or stardom or the WWE world that when you have acceptance by the whole wrestling community, the viewers of WWE, all you have to do is to make sure that you listen to the fans. This is what we're doing right now with your comments. That's one of the main reasons why we have this in Spanish and on Lucha Libre. We do the report on Mondays after Raw, and we do the SmackDown reports right after SmackDown Live, because we want the feedback. You are the most important piece of the wrestling puzzle. And when promoters do not listen to the customers, they're doing a grave mistake to the business. And this is what we're doing. I believe Sasha needs to be pushed more solid and heel or babyface. I think she's the money. I think that Sasha, the boss Banks, is the money, and I think you just need better angles with her and to be more creative. I think she will be an asset to getting Asuka over if you do the right matches with the right false finishes and the right storylines.
Leslie Love says, we want Emma back.
Emma, yes, a lot of people were upset when the Australian grappler Emma was let go. I think fans really got upset with WWE, especially as in our shows in Spanish, we were talking about the fact that even though Emma was a good worker, good wrestler, the right storyline would have been Sasha against Asuka, and build more on the image of Emma. Emma needed vignettes. I think having her Australian accent and perhaps investing in doing a couple of vignettes in her home country of Australia, and just changing a little bit on the character, because Emma could work. She is a fantastic wrestler, but she needed to have a better aura around her. And I think that the WWE creative team and they just they missed the boat. With Emma, and the fans let them know that it was wrong to be taken off the roster and to be let go, to be fired, or however you want to say. Emma, it's a very good.
Nicholas Joseph Laboro wants to know, will we ever see Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks in WWE?
Nothing is impossible with WWE. I have stated on our Spanish telecast on Lucha Libre the fact that we don't know if Vince is involved in this deal. As Jericho has been faithful to WWE, and his relationship, especially with Vince McMahon, it's very, very deep. Jericho has a lot of money. He's not a young kid anymore, and he knows what he wants. Successful in whatever he does. When that wrestling cruise started being advertised, and we saw the Young Bucks being named as part of the crew contracted by Jericho for that initial cruise of Jericho, it was, to me, it was like, wow, this is strong. And then when rumors started flying about the Twitter wars between Jericho and the New Japan Pro Wrestling stars, and then we found out about the Omega and Jericho back and forth, and then the announcement made by Jericho. By the way, a tremendous promo. If you haven't seen the promo where New Japan Pro Wrestling showcases Jericho going against Omega and Wrestle Kingdom 12, and he rips the picture of Omega, done as a classic villain that Jericho is. I believe right then, at that moment, my mind just lit up and said, is Vince McMahon behind this? Because we saw with Brock Lesnar in the UFC, which I use as an example, when Dana White, the president of UFC, wanted to use Brock Lesnar for a UFC battle, Brock Lesnar was still under contract with WWE, but yet it did happen. So I know that Dave Meltzer has announced that on his
podcast, no?
On his podcast, on his page, about Jericho not being under contract with WWE. But the contract of Jericho, it's not the same contract as other wrestlers, and that means that he doesn't have a full-time schedule. For Jericho to go and do Wrestle Kingdom 12, I believe Vince McMahon had to approve it, and I believe that it's part, I don't know, of a bigger angle where we will get to see in WrestleMania 34, perhaps the Bullet Club or a continuation of this angle. Something big just happened, and something bigger is going to happen. But regardless, it is great for the industry of wrestling to have this gigantic bouts in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Jericho against Omega, and now we see AJ Styles as the new champion. Mind you that the way WWE stipulates its championship bouts, the champion deserves the rematch. So in this case, Jinder Mahal being dethroned yesterday by AJ Styles means that the ex-champion now, Mahal, on his contract, he deserves, and by the laws and regulations of WWE, he is supposed to get a title rematch. So that would be part of the storyline. Let's go with more comments, Diana.
Thomas Sanchez says, hello, guys, from Pensacola with love. Says, hey, I honestly think that the biggest waste of an idea has been the Wyatt family gimmick. And
wow, I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yes.
It's gotten me so upset to see that the fans just love the concept of the Wyatt family, of the Bray Wyatt. And on our Spanish report last night, we were talking about how they missed the boat when they were adding to the storyline Abigail into the live character storyline. That I think that instead of having it be an alter ego of Brian Wyatt, it should have been the right moment to introduce a real talent into that character, which would have been perfect to use a controversial image of Paige added to the storyline, and just to bring back vignettes with the Wyatt family. When you have a guy like Bray Wyatt being crushed, being defeated in all the big shows, I mean, varied by the WWE creative force, and still the fans love Bray Wyatt. I think that this is like the last break, the last opportunity to do it right, to do the right thing with Bray Wyatt and the family. I think that with the disappearance of The Undertaker and obviously Kane not being on a full schedule, this was the gentleman, Bray Wyatt and his family, that could really help WWE. Also, if you want to get me started about that, the Finn Balor fiasco of one day being the Demon King, and then the other day, either you establish him as the Demon Force and get solid behind that storyline, or don't keep messing with the fans, because then it's like one day you eat the best steak, and then the next day you go to a fast food place to eat a hamburger. You know, you have to be very careful. And what upsets me is that WWE spent so much money on creative, and I don't think that creative has been doing the right thing. And also, when you have a director that gets over $4 million a year, and they have so much experience, WWE is the king of wrestling worldwide, the big monster of sports entertainment. And when they fail to understand their viewers, it's no excuse, because they are not the new kids on the block. They're not Ring of Honor trying to push something different. They're not New Japan Pro Wrestling trying to come into the United States. They're not Impact Wrestling. They're not AAA. This is the king of the industry, the biggest visionary of this business, Vince McMahon. And to see poor creative ideas and how it's been hurting people that you love in wrestling, it's a shame.
Maria Taylor says, Dina Rose says, she says that the parrot is beautiful. Also, Aniru Bat says, hello from India here.
Hello, friends from India. Don't forget to go to the tour of India, Sportskeeda. It's in partnership with the WWE Tour India. And go, and then let us know what you think of the show.
Okay, and Aniru Bat says, from India, I was reading, what's the career for Dolph Ziggler and Sami Zayn?
Okay, a lot of people, including myself, reported that Dolph Ziggler, he hasn't been led the right way in storylines, and I believe that it's time for Dolph Ziggler to leave WWE. And I even suggested before the Jericho Omega match was announced that New Japan Pro Wrestling should go after Dolph Ziggler because they need a top star solid on their card if they are doing the worldwide expansion. You need somebody like Dolph Ziggler. And just to add to that, to see the past Halloween edition, how a top team like Gallows and Anderson were actually part of an insulting match with a Halloween theme, and it was horrible. It just showcases the poor state of creative status that we have right now in the WWE, and it's a shame. And guys like Dolph Ziggler should be used better, and if not there, then with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And with Sami Zayn, at least he's getting to be used, and a lot of people are upset. I know he lost yesterday, but that brings the match next week with KO together. So perhaps there it's not that awful, but it all depends on what they do, because I do believe that Sami Zayn has a lot of fans, and you got to do the right thing.
Mohit Aguahari says WWE should involve in Raw 5-man match in place of Jason Jordan. Jordan is a weak link here.
Yeah, and it's not Jason Jordan being the weak link. It's the weak story. Here we go again with creative. People were expecting that original story with Kurt Angle to have some other outcome on that storyline, which could have been even better if it was Dixie Carter. Anything but this story of the son, Orlando Jordan, because whatever potential Orlando Jordan has with the creative force behind that storyline of father and son, it just sucked. It wasn't good. It was horrible. And now by putting him there like it's a father's decision, it just makes it awful. Having better talents and talents that are more over on the Raw brand and going to a war, especially after Raw being attacked, it made no sense for Kurt Angle to have his son there, because it just makes the team look weak, and they needed to put a better anybody else, even Kane. I don't care what other name you mentioned, but it would have been strong. I believe everything that you do for an event of so much tradition of Survivor Series, you have to do good. And having the AJ Styles against Brock Lesnar, it's solid, and now we'll have to see where they go with the Jinder Mahal storyline. And before we end this intervention today, I must say that the English wrestler, United Kingdom champion Peter Dunne, he showcased his style. I think that he got over huge with a global audience. I know the people in the United Kingdom and other places knew who he was, but a lot of viewers from WWE did not know that. So I think that Pete Dunne did fantastic. They got to do something with Enzo. Enzo does not belong with this caliber of talent. I think he's good with a mic. Just a lot of mistakes with the creative. More comments, Diana?
Sam Peterson says, I have boycotted WWE. I'm tired of them insulting my intelligence in all areas. Maybe once ratings dip enough, we will get a change.
And I believe that your voices count. These comments that you put in here on our edition of Atangana, the show, this is what people like Vince McMahon and the promoters of other companies and do watch, because it doesn't cost them one penny. Sportskeeda and us in Lucha Libre Online give our fans the opportunity of sharing their emotions, you know, what they like, their dislikes, and they don't pay for this survey. So when you have all this modern world communications, we have the right channel. We have fans putting right here their expressions, their feelings, and it goes right to the main wrestling companies. And as we progress, every week we will try to talk a little bit more of what's going on in other wrestling companies as we will expand the Raw and the SmackDown theme of the report. But we're so happy that you have joined us. And, you know, when you have an opportunity to check us out, too, on Lucha Libre Online, we are the #1 Spanish site. We are in alliance with Sportskeeda. And don't forget, fans of India, Sportskeeda is in partnership with WWE for the India tour, and let the fans know around your country that tour is coming, and also let WWE know that you want to see Jinder Mahal used correctly, and you want to see him come in as a hero to the tour in your country. Okay, one more comment.
One more comment. Let's see. Gordon Tidwell says, I see a New Day versus Shield at Survivor Series.
Yeah, well, we've been having some good storylines. I also believe that the New Day are good. I just think that sometimes creative goes too much Hollywood with them, with funny things, and I think that you have to find the right balance, because you have great wrestlers in the New Day, and I think people want to see more action, because they have what it takes to deliver to the fans. In New York City, I will be producing Kings of Lucha Libre December 9th in New York City at Laboon in Queens, and we will be telling you more about other shows. Right now, we want to one more time remind you of Sportskeeda being in partnership with WWE for the India tour, and we will see you next Wednesday. And check us out in Lucha Libre Online, and always stay tuned to Sportskeeda. So this is our girl Shushi. This is my Cajun girl Diana, my wife, and this is Hugo Savinovich, ex-WWE Spanish announcer, producer. I also have my wrestling company in Chile. It's called Wrestling Superstar, and I help New Generation Championship Wrestling in Orlando, and my friends in Peru, in Imperio Lucha, and War in Ecuador. So from time to time, I will
in Mexico, the Crash.
And with the Crash, I just did the pilot for their TV. So we will have the opportunity of spending time talking about all these other groups around the world. Okay. And
for all our Spanish-speaking fans, we'll be here tomorrow at Lucha Libre Online at 9 o'clock at night.
Okay, and stay tuned to Sportskeeda.
And we'll see you next Wednesday.
All right, and take care and keep the passion alive of wrestling and Tangana.